Nolan Arenado signs a massive extension with the Rockies. Players are upset with teams manipulating service time rules, and we take a trip into the batting cage. You're watching The Lineup. Thank you once again for joining us on The Lineup. I am Joshua Adams. That is Jeffrey Matthews with you as always. So first off, we're going to start with the biggest news that came out yesterday. Nolan Arenado signed the rather large extension, 8 years, $260 million. So that makes it more money annually than Manny Machado. So that brings the argument to the forefront of, is he better than Manny Machado? Which, if you look at the stats, you honestly could go either way with it.
That you could. But let's just talk about how big of a deal this is. Mm-hmm. It's a big deal. I think it came out to $32 million, $32.5 million annually.
Yeah, 32.5 is what I read.
That's almost ridiculous.
Because Manny Machado's getting $30 million a year, and he said, I'll just get $2.5 million more than that.
That's his chump change right there.
Yeah, it's chump change. I will take, we were talking earlier, I will take that $500,000. I'll take it off his hands.
I would take
right now.
5% that he makes. You know, the smallest percentage he's willing to give me, I would take. Because $260 million over the course of 8 years is quite a bit of money.
It is. With this, there was rumors that the Cubs weren't going after Manny Machado because they were waiting for Nolan Arenado next offseason, but obviously he's not going to be a free agent now.
Right.
And
there is no opt-out in this contract.
There
is that correct?
I cannot say for sure. I haven't looked into that yet.
I haven't seen any news about an opt-out, so I think it's a hard 8 years, $260 million.
As far as his stats go, he was an MVP candidate, and he's pretty much a perennial MVP candidate. His OPS plus, which if you look to that stat, 133, which means he's 33% better than the average MLB player, which might not seem like that much if you just say, oh, he's 33% better, but that is a massive mark. I mean, 38 home runs last year, 297 batting average, 110 RBIs. Granted, he was probably knocked in the MVP race and in general, and he probably should because he plays at Coors Field.
Right.
Because you can say, like, if you look at him versus, say, Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant gets a better plus stat a lot, often. And that's because the plus stats are adjusted to each ballpark. They're adjusted to say, well, he plays at home, at Coors, or for Chris Bryant, he plays at home at Wrigley, or for Manny Machado, because he's, top 3 third baseman in baseball, that he plays at Petco, which is a pitcher's park. It's kind of gone back and forth between being a pitcher's and a hitter's park. So he will probably actually be helped in the plus stats in the park adjusted stats because he plays in a pitcher's park. But that's all to say, Nolan Arenado is a very good player. Yeah. He's a very good ball player.
He's reliant, and even if you go back into the 2017 stats, he hit 37 home runs. Mm-hmm. He had 130 RBIs. He went down in RBIs this past season. He had an average of 309, a batting average of 309. Mm-hmm. So I would say he's fairly consistent with that. And, going into the 8 year, I always talk about how these long contracts are kind of iffy because you don't know what's going to happen to a player. He could get hurt in spring training, and so that's why I'm not a big fan of the big long contracts.
I will say that he is probably more likely to age gracefully than, say, a shortstop that probably is bound to get to a third base, because he's not the most mobile ball player at this point. But he's a great glove, and you don't need to be that mobile at third. But he still goes all the way to shortstop sometimes. But being a power hitting third baseman, you can age more gracefully with that than a shortstop.
That is very
true. That will help his value stay high, and the fact that they play at Coors will help his power hitting. So that will definitely keep that going.
In other news,
yeah,
Bryce Harper. Still nothing.
Nothing. Yes.
Got excited for a moment there. He's had a couple of, discussions with teams. The Dodgers came up to him. The Giants have come up to him.
Yeah, the Dodgers came back into it out of nowhere. And the rumor is that they're...
And even the Cubs. I mean, I don't think the Cubs will do anything.
No, they're not.
But the Cubs, I think there was a headline that read, Cubs checked in on Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
Which I thought was whatever.
Bryce Harper's mom checks in, basically.
Any news with Bryce Harper?
There was a rumor which all of this is rumors at this
Right.
point. So none of this is true or false. Schrodinger's cat, is that what it is, right?
Sure.
Yeah, right? Am I right, Delaney? Is that what it is, Schrodinger's cat? You don't know if it's dead or alive? Yeah, pretty much that. So the rumor is that the Cubs and the Dodgers were always Bryce Harper's preferences. I mean, there was even an Onion article that said Bryce Harper willing to sign with Phillies if team willing to relocate or something like that.
See, I don't want, this is my personal bias towards Bryce Harper. I wouldn't like to see him at the Dodgers just because the Los Angeles Dodgers took the Braves out of the playoff picture last year. So I'm still a little salty about that.
Little salty?
Little salty.
Just a little salt.
Big salt.
Big salt.
But, I would say, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers actually went after him pretty hard.
Yeah, because he's from Las Vegas. It would be closer to home than the Phillies.
Right.
He would be pretty near all that. The rumor is that the Dodgers are looking at a smaller contract, but maybe a higher annual value than the $300+ million. So each team has their own strategies with it.
Right. Here's the thing with Harper. I just think he's too inconsistent. He had the big year in 2015, and then after that, I feel like his stats have not
Dropped
met up
off.
to those expectations of the 2015 season. And if you look at those, I think it's hard to give him what he's wanting. And there's been rumors, again, that he has turned down $300+ million. Multiple.
Yeah,
of
that's
the $300+ million.
I mean, as you said, he was only worth 1.3 WAR last year, which again we've said WAR is a much more general stat than we use it. But when you see 1.3, but that's defense, because 100 RBIs, 249 batting average, not amazing. 34 home runs, that is amazing. He can deal with that. But he's Bryce Harper, so he's going to get what he wants.
Someone is going to be willing to pay him what he wants.
So, kind of to segue out of that, someone who isn't going to get what they want, Vlad Guerrero Jr. and service time is a big thing right now because Chris Bryant came out and said that he was infuriated about how, in general, how the Cubs treated him.
Right.
He wasn't necessarily calling out the Cubs. He was saying more so that the system is a little
and that's the thing.
Messed up.
It's the system that some of these players are mad about. Chris Bryant talked about how he was told to go back down and work on defense. And then he later on says that he got 3 ground balls that whole entire 3 weeks that he was still down there. So, it was kind of like, I'm sure those 3 weeks really helped his defense with those 3 ground balls. And it is frustrating for these players. I do not doubt that. If you're ready for the big leagues and you are a top prospect and the fan base wants you there, the higher ups want you in there, but the higher-ups choose to just keep you down just so that way they have more control over you for another year. So
from a perspective of the front offices, 100%, I understand what they do.
Yes, I understand it. It's just not.
It all depends on your point of view. I said just before we went live that I almost interpret it as a compliment to the players, but again, that's a very much so gray area.
It really is, and you have to understand. I try to put myself in the position of the players. Yes, you are not eligible for free agency until after 6 years.
6 years, yeah.
They're getting control over you for 1 more year just because of
three weeks or something, 3.5 weeks, something
playing,
like that.
And that controls where you're going to be at, and we'll just go ahead and call it 7 years because you get that extra year. And that kind of is annoying for players who, especially if you're having a great career, if you're doing fairly well, and there's teams out there that would pay you quite a bit of money to take you. It's kind of annoying to be put in that position where you still have, you're 6 years deep into the. I don't think it should be 6 years. I think free agency should be. I think you should be eligible for free agency after like 3 or 4.
That's kind of a middle ground that the players and the owners and the Players Association came to, because it was when we've learned about this, it was the reserve clause that you could be renewed on a 1-year contract for eternity, basically, until they said, you're not useful anymore, get out. And there were people that fought it. Curt Flood never played professional baseball. I think he did, but it was a couple years after, and he wasn't very good. So there were players that fought it and lost in court a few times. But eventually, free agency came around, and they came to an agreement of 6 years because owners were so used to just literally owning players, pretty much. It was pretty much indentured servitude. But as far as this goes, they get arbitration eligible after 3 years. So that's how they kind of found that middle ground of they get to ask for the money that they want.
Right. And like I said, it's just one of those systems that just kind of sucks.
A little bit.
It's just one of those things. There's not much you can do about it. That's the rules of the game as it sits right now. Guerrero, I think another year of playing in the long run, I don't think will be that bad. Right? I do believe that Guerrero is probably going to go and have a very successful career.
He is an amazing hitter.
Right.
And honestly, you could understand them saying he needs to work on his defense because his defense is okay. His defense is okay.
That is very true. And almost like Ronald Acuna Jr. He's a great hitter, great defensive player. He was a star in the outfield, and now he's with the Braves. He just had his first year, so he has 5 years left. But they kept him down, so now he has 6 more years left. 6 more seasons, I'd rather say.
Yeah. So as far as the players goes, we understand where they are, and as far as the owners go, we understand why they did that. So basically, the system needs to change. When we come back, Jeff and I take a trip to the batting cages. Stick with us.
How will you lead to a better future? Will you lead through life-changing innovations, or will your leadership shine through the quality of your work? Success is defined by the individual. So it's time to think about the person you want to be and where you will learn to lead through excellence. It's time to become a governor at Austin Peay. You don't want to simply be another face in the crowd. You want to excel, to make the most of your time on this planet. That means a decision must be made. You have to find a place where you can shine, a community that fosters your potential, a home where you can write your own future. It's time to become the person you've dreamed of being. It's time to become a governor at Austin Peay.
Welcome back. The hosts of this very show made their way into the batting cages for a little contest. For more on that story, here's Joshua Adams. Joshua?
Thanks, Joshua. We're here in the batting cages of the Austin Peay Governors baseball team. Thankfully, they let us use it. So we're going to play a little game. It's a best out of 3 rounds. Each round is 10 pitches. Jeff is going to pitch to me. I'm going to pitch to Jeff. Whoever loses each round gets pegged with a baseball. So that's going to be fun. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot.
He thinks he's going to win. I don't plan on getting hit with a baseball. But we will see.
It'll happen. Oh, sorry.
We're going to turn it around? We're going to move?
We can move. We can turn it around.
You just want me in the cage with you with a free bat?
Yeah, I mean, I do it.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Okay. So, if you'll notice, the pitching machine is still there. We're not allowed to use it, and we're too scared to move it. So that's why we're pitching to each other and not using the pitching machine. I only have 10 baseballs. This one, if you can, focus on that. Little League T-ball. It is very soft. So this is the one we're going to be hitting each other with. Is that 10?
Josh is throwing me a couple pitches. He thinks he can do a good job. He hit 7 out of 10 last round, as far as we know. Yeah, anyway, so now it's my turn to show them up. Ooh.
Oh, that's inside. We got it. Okay. Jeff and I tied the first round. As far as we know, we lost count for me. 7 hits on 10 pitches, so we're gonna do it again. Three pitch playoff. Oh, for gosh sake. Oh my.
And Jeffrey takes the first round. Oh, Jeff. Shoot. How many hittable pitches was that?
6?
How many did you hit?
It was 4 or 5.
Ready?
How many did you think it was?
Probably around that. I think I had 7 good pitches on you. How many hittable pitches was that?
6?
And then you hit about 5 of them.
Okay. You tied. Again.
Left-handed. That was a strike.
I know.
Ready? Oh, for God's sake. So I've lost. We were doing 2 out of 3. He just won.
But we'll do a third round just for the fun of it.
You good?
I'm good.
You good? He's good. That's great. Okay, so I have officially lost. That guy right over there, he won both of them. I'm gonna.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. Why did I go after that?
That's true. He won the third round. I feel like you're gonna hit me a lot harder than I hit you. Alright. Now since I won the whole thing, I get to hit him with a real baseball.
Why did I agree to this? If you could smell how this smells because of that man.
It's bad.
It's bad.
Just like that, Snake, just like that.
Ow! God.
Good job.
Sure.
Good sport.
Get this thing off of me.
So what did we learn, children?
Jeff can't pitch.
We did learn that. Josh can't hit. I am a little bit better.
And a lot sweaty.
That's not nice.
So there was some confusion on the scores for that. I only got 9 pitches the second 2 rounds. On the second round, I thought we thought we tied, even though I got 6 out of 9. On the first round, I straight up won. It was 8 out of 10 to 7 out of 10. I just can't count.
Neither one of us can.
I can't.
Apparently.
Yeah.
We both thought that we had.
We both thought we had more, but in editing, we learned that was not true.
We are awful.
We kind of are.
Counting.
But so if you go by the percentage of how many pitches were hit, I won all 3 rounds on that because it was 8 out of 10, then 6 out of 9, and 6 out of 9. And yours was 7 out of 10
I don't know.
and 6 out of 10 for the second 2 rounds.
There's a reason I talk about sports and don't play them, Josh.
I got hit by a baseball 3 times that day.
Well, sometimes people lose more than others.
Yeah, that is true.
But I didn't. In my heart, I won. I think that's what matters.
It is what matters. It is. When we come back, green light and overreactions coming up.
The honors program at Austin Peay started. There was a group of professors who thought, what are we doing for our strongest students? And since then, the program has changed and grown with the university. And now we have over 300 students who are in the program. It's open to students of all majors.
I wanted something that would set me apart from other pre-med students. So I thought the honor program would help me with that. It's pretty easy to make friends here because everyone here is focused on school because they're in the honors program, so they want to get something out of school. And it's just a nice place to come and study.
In the classrooms, they will be asked to stand on their tiptoes, is what we say. But the classes are more interesting. They move along a little faster. It's a place where those students can congregate to study, so I think students are better prepared for careers and for life in general through the academic curriculum.
Welcome back to the lineup. Each week we end our show by making fun of anything and everything in the baseball world. This week is no different.
After signing Manny Machado, Padres chairman Ron Fowler said, "We are a lot happier than the White Sox right now." As if that's an accomplishment.
Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred said recently he hates how negative the coverage of baseball in the media has been. It might help if he didn't begin every interaction with the media by saying, "Baseball is just the worst, isn't it?"
Carlos Martinez has been shut down after not following the Cardinals' workout plan during the offseason. The Major League equivalent of a teenager telling his parents, "You can't tell me what to do," just before he gets grounded.
Giancarlo Stanton said the biggest difference playing for the Yankees has been playing in games that matter beyond May 7th. And Giancarlo, how could you say that? The Marlins were never competitive that far into the season.
Dallas Keuchel said during an interview that he isn't hitting the panic button about not having a contract a full week into spring training. Apparently, it takes a full government overthrow in order for him to do that.
Rumor has it Craig Kimbrell is willing to sit out this season if he doesn't get the offer he wants. That sound you hear is Craig Kimbrell being deleted from contact lists around the league.
Hey, that rumor was proven false like an hour after it was reported.
But I'd already written the joke.
With Nolan Arenado signing a $260 million mega extension, it makes the world ask, wait, who?
Chris Bryant said he is infuriated by organizations manipulating service time. Experts are speculating that because of this, Bryant will only give 105% this year rather than his usual 110.
Joshua didn't write this one. I'm saying it all on my own. The Last Jedi is a terrible movie.
Yasiel Puig admitted he never worked hard when he played for the Dodgers. There are so many different ways we could go with this that we just couldn't fit it all into a single joke.
You worked the bat hard when you licked it.
You worked the club hard when you got sent down to AAA.
You worked your teammates hard when you acted the fool constantly.
You worked the Dodger fan base hard for the lengths they had to go to in order to defend your ridiculous antics.
At least the Mariners have Edwin,
Encarnacion.
man, for the half hour before they trade him away for nothing.
Philadelphia Phillies owner John Middleton said he wouldn't leave Las Vegas until he had a deal for Bryce Harper. Harper said he would leave Las Vegas to prevent a deal with the Phillies.
I feel you threw that one in me on purpose.
The Encarnacion
Man.
one?
Yeah.
You said you looked over the script before we did it.
Oh, I definitely looked
So
at the
you
script.
had some issues with what I counted as a pitch during.
There were a couple that were hittable. We said hittable pitches. And I promise you, some of those were hittable.
The ones that were at my neck.
Those are hittable.
They are not. That is not a strike.
I promise you, hittable pitches in both of our definitions are completely different.
Yes, mine is the strike zone.
Okay, I think hittable pitches and a strike zone are two different things. There's been a lot of batters who hit pitches that are balls and they put them in play.
Yes.
Oh!
I'm
So it's a hittable pitch.
technically, but I mean,
Oh!
Vlad Guerrero hit a pitch off a bounce. Alfonso Soriano hit a home run off a bounce too.
Right.
You
They're
were all
hittable
over the
pitches.
place.
They were hittable pitches.
It was batter's discretion what was hittable.
I know I definitely gave you some. But let's go ahead and talk about Hall of Famers.
Yes. Okay.
We have about a
Yes,
little bit
Mariano
left time in the
Rivera
show.
was the first person ever to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. Even Babe Ruth wasn't Hall of Famer. I think he was in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people were thinking that in honor of Babe Ruth, no player should ever be a unanimous Hall of
Right.
Famer.
Mariano Rivera, though,
He deserves it.
He was a good ball player. You can't argue with that.
More people have landed on the moon than hit a home run off of him in the postseason.
It's very good.
No show next week due to spring break, but we'll be back in action at the same time on March 13th. Thank you to our production crew for helping put on the show every week. For Jeff Matthews, I'm Joshua Adams. Thank you for watching.